Okay. Well, thank you everyone for joining our meeting for safety and climate. Today is an exciting day. It's the last meeting so far for this month. And this will be our second meeting. And we're just going to hand it over to Justin. Go ahead, Justin, for a roll call.
All right. Thank you, Martha. Ana Gonzalez. Cheryl Villegas Walker.
Here.
Amber Novi.
Here.
Michelle Rousey.
Present.
Chair Armis Kelly.
Present. So do we have quorum or?
William Walker.
Present.
Chair, we have quorum.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. Well, I appreciate you guys taking the time out to come out to our meeting. I do want to give you an opportunity to have your own land acknowledgement. This is a part of our meeting where we will have our land acknowledgement. And I'm coming to you from Merced, and we are here in the Miwok and Yokuts territory. And I will hand it off to, let's see, William Walker. If you can go ahead and acknowledge any tribal entities in your community.
Sure. I started my day in Ohlone territory where I live in San Francisco, but I'm currently in Northern Chumash because I'm going to mispronounce it, but I think it's Yak Titu Tiniku, but I'm going to mispronounce it. So Northern Chumash, San Luis Obispo County. And a big shout out to anyone who was at the Thrive Bay Area conference. I saw Chair Gardino there, and it's been a great day for transportation in the Bay Area. So, yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Member Rousey?
I believe I'm in the Ohlone land and a couple others. I'm in Alameda County, so thank you.
Thank you. Member Novi?
I apologize, my audio is getting in and out, so I'm just going to stay muted for the time until it gets resolved.
Thank you. Member Novi? Amber? Okay, Ms. Walker?
Thank you. One thing, my computer says that the video has been disabled by the host. Was that announced earlier in the meeting?
I don't believe so. I didn't have anything with that, but I don't have, all I have is the screen. I don't see any of you.
Yeah,
I think it's the way it's set up.
I do see the ASL interpreter, and she's doing a fantastic job. But that's the only person I see. That being said, I am in the Kumeyaay tribal lands here in Imperial County.
Okay, seeing that there are no other members, I'd like to open it to public comment for any others that might want to join in on our land acknowledgement.
Thank you, Martha. We'll give it a moment. Not seeing any requests to comment at this time.
Okay. Well, I do want to remind you that the meeting minutes were sent out to all our members. And at this time, I'd like to go ahead and formally adopt our August meeting minutes. Anyone would like to make any comments or make any changes?
Madam Chair, I'll move approval of the minutes as presented.
I'll
So
second.
moved.
I'll second that,
Thank you,
Amber
Michelle.
Novy.
Thank you, Michelle, for seconding that motion. All right, all members, we'd like to go ahead and vote. If we all accept the minutes. Justin,
Great, thank you. I'll call the roll. Ana Gonzalez, Cheryl Vegas Walker,
Yes.
Amber Novi,
Yes.
Michelle Rousey,
Yes.
Chair Armis Kelly.
yes.
Motion passes.
Okay, well, thank you, members, for being present. When we decided to come in together into this space, it was really about how can we move a lot of these items in a way that is efficient and really representative of what the Equity Advisory Committee was set out to do. But I know that in some of our past discussions, it's been more about like, how can we elevate the narrative for those changes as well as incorporating some of the needs within our own CTC, Caltrans, and the CalSTA. And with that said, I'm going to pass the mic over to Naila to kind of give us a little bit of a background, and we'll be coming in and having a little bit more robust discussion about both of those changes. Naila?
All right, can you guys hear me? I apologize, I'm congested and I'm also having connection issues. So connection issues all around. So before you all hop into a discussion about your scope and purpose of this subcommittee, I just wanted to come and do a slight follow-up to part of the discussion that we had last week at the larger EAC meeting. Staff has gotten together after that meeting, did a quick debrief, and one of the recommendations that we'd like to make is that this subcommittee be the one that moves forward with the mission and vision discussion. At the EAC meeting last week, we said that we would solicit feedback from the EAC members about which subcommittee they would like to see the vision and mission statement subject go to. But after looking at the workload and discussions that other subcommittees have had, this subcommittee makes the most sense given that the Housing, Infrastructure, and Broadband Committee most likely will be working on broadband, and the Walkability Complete Streets Committee is working on the 1121 recommendations. So that's our recommendation. I also just kind of want to share the process on how we're moving some of that forward. You all will be receiving an email with a survey from me by Monday. And that survey will be asking you for your mission, what you think the mission statement of this EAC, the large EAC body should be, what you think the vision of the large EAC body should be, and also just confirm if folks are okay with us doing the work in this subcommittee. From there, we'll compile all of the survey feedback, bring it to whatever committee is decided. Again, we are recommending and hoping it is this committee. And from there at the December meeting, we would be able to have a discussion on the draft language of an agenda and mission statement. So I just wanted to give kind of a high level update about like what staff debriefed on, how we think that this committee may be the best vehicle to move the discussion on vision and mission forward. With that, we will, if it is decided that this is the committee that does it, we will be inviting the large EAC body to come to this meeting and give feedback. We will also have the survey as a place to solicit feedback. And if you all think that there's other areas or venues or ways that we should solicit feedback, we're absolutely open to that as well. Moving into this committee is in no way to try and stifle or control voices. It really is just the most efficient given what staff has capacity for. I believe that is the bulk of the update that I wanted to share. So thank you, Vice Chair Armis Kelly, for the time.
Thank you. Any comments on this matter? Because I really want you all to have a minute to just kind of say what you feel, if it's something that you feel is a good fit, or you're still thinking about it, but just kind of a little check-in with everyone on what they're thinking about this decision. And Justin, I'm going to rely on you for hands because I cannot see who has their hands out.
Certainly, I can call them out for you. Up first, Member Rousey.
Yeah, I'm fine with that being brought to this committee. I don't know if you saw my distress in the meeting last week, but I was just grateful they're not bringing it to the other committee that I chair. But at the same time, I think this committee can do what's needed to move that forward. Thank you.
Thank you.
Member Villegas Walker.
Thank you. And I appreciate staff being upfront in terms of the capacity and the thought process. I am certainly behind having this committee work on the mission and vision statement. I'm wondering if it would be within staff's bandwidth to maybe pull some mission and vision statements from similarly situated committees so that we at least have a starting point or some ideas that we can look at. Not that we want to, adopt one of theirs or anything, but it might be kind of nice to take a peek at what else is out there and get our own senses kind of moving in a direction as to what other people have used in terms of language that's going to motivate us and really define our mission and vision. But at least we have, some examples or starting points. That would be a recommendation or suggestion. Thank you.
Thank you. That's a great suggestion.
Yeah,
Sorry, Naila, I was just confirming that there was no other hands raised at this time.
No other hands? Okay. All right. Well then let's go ahead and start getting into a little bit of what we had discussions with. Well, just to give you a little bit of a background in this situation, I see that everyone else has their meetings pretty much like they have an idea, they put it out there, and this is how they want to conduct the meeting. I want it to be more organic. I feel that you all received some type of email, and I know Carol has sent out an email in regards to what scope of work we're looking at for the next year for this subcommittee. I know that if we do take on the equity advisory, the vision statement, we will probably be spending some time on that first so that we can at least summarize and be able to close that because it's moving along pretty fast. But I do want to make sure we allow some time to discuss some of the, objectives for the next coming year of goals that we'd like to set for ourselves in safety. Some of those points were in discussion about making sure that our roads were safe. Others were in consideration for the climate. How can we better support the three different agencies in those decisions towards climate? And again, leaving it as organic as I can so that you can all bring forward your ideas. I feel that it's important to be transparent, and I'm hoping that the list that we have or your suggestions will be put in a document that we can all see it at any given time and be able to look back and say, hey, we haven't touched this area, or this is upcoming, we need to probably move on that. I want it to be like even though it's the chair position, it's more about how can we all work together to come up with the greater solution and as expeditiously as we can without really holding back because we have to move the whole table together. If we can find something that can be done and can be adopted, I'm looking to probably put together some type of document that we could report back on and say, here is where we're at. These are some of the suggestions that we'd like to see, and hopefully send a letter to our CTC for December. And I know it's a quick turnaround, but we could probably just even get a narrative of what we're looking to succeed in for the next year. How do you feel about that? and not all at once.
No,
Member Vegas Walker, go ahead. I don't want
thank you. I know that at least for me, it's always been such a wonderful opportunity to have presentations to kind of broaden my understanding of issues. And with regard to this subcommittee, a couple of things that really come to mind is if we could maybe get some presentations or think about, because I do think there's a very strong equity correlation here. The Vision Zero, which probably a lot of you are familiar with in terms of the overall goal of eliminating pedestrian fatalities. I think that would be something of interest to this subcommittee and maybe our larger committee. And then also something that I really would like this committee to maybe take a close look at is the safe routes to schools and the guidelines that are in place. Because I think if we look at the data and that we do see that unfortunately pedestrian and student fatalities are higher, more prevalent in underserved communities. So just in terms of maybe things for us to hear about, learn about, those would be two things that I would like to propose, Madam Chair.
I am so agreement with you. There's Jara Crowder from UC Berkeley that does a really good presentation on some of those fatalities that have been happening throughout the community. She has a great program on how to bring those programs to the community and how they've worked in conjunction with the TP on really honing in on those areas of great disparity for safety outcomes. And I think that's an excellent idea. So I think we should note that as well, that there are technical and groups that do have that information that can bring the presentations in, like you're saying. Sometimes we take it for a road that we do have that information available, but it's so important to be able to have it in the forefront. And for some of us, we're not all aware of those different programs. So thank you for bringing that to our attention. Anyone else, please?
Yes, William Walker.
Yes, William. Thank you.
Hi, Chair Ms. Kelly. Thank you, and thank you, fellow members and staff. I really want to look at all aspects of safety and climate that we can. And I think it's interesting that the discussion around governance and nomination of members to this committee and kind of climate, if I may, the climate of how we interact interpersonally in the work that we do here amongst ourselves as members, between members and staff, and obviously commissioners and the community. I think it's a great opportunity to look at issues around, how is it that we make it so that folks who are in communities that are impacted by, infrastructure and its negative externalities, how can those communities feel safe to come into the spaces that we've been in and to share their stories? So I think it's a great thing that this committee will be being able to dig into that. I think that Vision Zero is definitely important, so I concur with the chair and with Member Vegas Walker in regard to bringing that to this committee. In addition to traffic safety, I think there's the safety of our labor. I heard from members of Amalgamated Transit Union, ATU, which represents VTA in Santa Clara County, as well as TWU Local 250A, which is the union my father retired from, San Francisco Munis Union. Our operators and our station agents, our maintenance workers, our highway workers, there's an issue around how safe they all feel in regard to their roles and their occupation and what it means to be safe at work and what it means to be post-pandemic and the climate of being in public spaces where people are still on edge, where sometimes people, aren't necessarily behaving well and maybe directing their stress at the wrong, direction. And then there's also just our climate crisis and, the air that we breathe and environmental justice issues around how we site transportation. And so I think that those are some of the things that come to mind when I drafted the motion to create the 3 committees that we have. And I'm excited to see the direction that our chair will be taking it. So thank you.
So thank you, William. Those are all good suggestions. I really think that it's important that we are connected with both not only the pedestrians and bicyclists and the folks that are in those cars and vehicles, but also the people that are working on the roads, making sure that we have considerations for both groups. So that's something that we can revisit. And also what you're mentioning about safety and having access and safe access, and the ability to be able to be heard is important. So we need to work on measures to be able to and feel that they are heard, vice versa, in both contexts. So thank you so much for that contribution. Anyone else on the call that would like to say a few things, please? I encourage you. This is your time.
Yes, we do have a couple other members with their hand raised at this time. I'd like to next call on Member Rousey, and then we'll be followed by Member Novi.
Yeah,
Thank you.
love what everybody said already. Years ago, I was in an eco art environmental class at Laney College, and some presentations come to mind when we're talking about environmental friendly roadways and walkways that have climate impact for people in a good way. And when we're looking to advocate for those not only safe, walkable communities and things like that, the climate aspect of it is important, and make sure what impact is put into those streets is environmentally friendly, and also promotes trees and other things like that being in our community. And I also think our mission statement is important, in that we also look at other groups for our mission statement, not only the disability community, but our workforce also look at those communities at their mission statements, so that we get it right, and that we look at different aspects of our mission statement so that we are having the best impact from the work we do, and our mission statement promotes that. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Rousey. Again, just echoing on pretty much the whole group in itself. You guys are all on point. I do like the idea of including other groups, because we do sometimes forget that signage is so important. Having the ability to be able to read the safety, right? If we're in that corridor and we can't access information that's going to keep us safe, or if that information is not really connected to the environment that it is serving, such as we're in a floodplain or we're in an area where there's falling rock and we're not really putting up enough information for folks to take those precautions. That's all critical in what we're going to be doing, and I'm fully encouraged by all of your suggestions, and I ask for Member Novi to speak if she may. Thank you.
Hey, everyone. I just want to re-echo everyone's sentiments. Not only the pedestrians that are utilizing these roadways, but of course the workers that are constructing them, changing them, and really in the zone where traffic vehicles are driving by and endangering their lives as they update the work, whether that's a freeway, highway, roadway. And so just echoing the safety of not only the pedestrians utilizing it, but the workers that are making the changes and really putting their lives at risk to be out in front of vehicles. We all know about distracted driving, and safety is always a concern for all of the construction workers, along with those that utilize those spaces.
Thank you. Again, very important. I think that the CTC and Caltrans will appreciate that. We're really considering, as well as Cal staff, or outside, even first responders. We need to be, one of the things that I did mention is making sure that we have enough easements to be able to access emergency situations. I don't think that we have been able to really push forward some policy issues such as maybe having more narratives about what to do or how do we proceed if there's an emergency. I think that the public at large needs to have more information as to what happens in a case of emergency, what are some of the safety measures that they can participate in so that they're prepared. ICE, which is a case of emergency, more plans in that direction. So I appreciate your comments, Amber. Anyone else?
Yes, I'd like to acknowledge that our ex officio member Walker has their hand raised again. Member Walker.
Okay.
Thank you. I appreciate those comments, Member Novi. And I also neglected to mention two things. One, I was at the Transit Transformation Task Force meeting this week that was held in Monterey. I joined online, but there was a lot of discussion around safety and around prohibition of riders and creating some synergy around ensuring that if not a rider is prohibited from one system, that they're prohibited from every system in the region. And so I think it's really important that we as an Equity Advisory Committee are following that. If I don't have a car and I'm banned from riding transit, yes, I understand that we want to protect our labor. We want to ensure that no one feels like it's unsafe to ride, especially when you look at transit station safety and being alone on a platform at night or being in an unlit bus stop without a protective shelter. But by banning folks from transportation, if they don't have a car, they have no way to interact with society, and talking about what that looks like for folks, you know, and whether that enforcement is with armed or unarmed officers. When you look at SB 1121 and how we replace the gas tax, can we afford to increase the social workers or the police officers on our system? And then also just acknowledging that lives have been lost by operators, whether it's from COVID or whether it was from workplace, like the serious workplace incident that happened at the BTA rail yard, where we lost, it was, I think, the worst workplace massacre in California history. And we lost a family in San Francisco, all four of them just waiting for a bus where a car ran into them. And then looking at how our modes interface, where bikes and pedestrians and folks who are rolling versus walking, all of that interface, understanding the safety implications of how we build our system out and how we address those safety issues. And obviously around highway safety and roadway safety as well, and excessive speed. So
Thank you.
Lots to dig into.
There are a lot of different issues, but again, I just want to give everybody a quick minute to be able to check in and let us know kind of what. I do hope that you take time, if you feel like you want to have a more condensed or more verbose contribution, then I would suggest to everyone to just take a minute and for the next meeting, kind of come back with something written. Give it to me at least a week before our meeting so that everyone can get a copy and be able to read it and kind of highlight what struck out to them. And hopefully we'll be able to hone in on at least 3 things that we can do. I'm hoping that we can do 2, and then we'll have room for 1. So I would like you to look at it as our in this framework. It would be like the hardest thing that we can do that we could possibly we want to shoot for and dream big. And then the second one, we can do it. And the third one, so easy, but we need to get it done so that we can come back and at least have something that we've contributed to this body so that it can go back to the bigger body and we'll be able to say, this is what we're working on. This is what we've accomplished. And here are some of the goals that we're looking at for the future. Does that make sense for everyone?
Yes, that makes sense.
I just want it to be as simple as possible and as organic and flowing, because I think that sometimes we all have so much to contribute. We all have so much to say, and we don't have a whole lot of time. So in order for us to be able to work expeditiously, I'm going to put a lot on you to just do your homework. You know, like if there is someone that you know that is like the guru on safety, or if there's some type of document, I'm going to do the best that I can to bring that information, but I won't bring it to the meeting. I will probably have that prepared, like I said, a week before, and you'll get like an email with information on who's doing what. This is what is being done across the state. This is what our nation is doing as far as trends for climate. I just wanted to give you as much information so that you're equipped as well when we do have our meetings at large, that if you feel that something is in there that is like biting at you and we're not addressing it and it should be addressed, that we can bring that forward and say, hey, we'd like this to be part of our bigger meeting. Remind yourselves that you guys are like really the rudder in this area of safety and climate. So even if there's a person that's saying that she's a chair or whatever, it has no bearing on the fact that you each have a role in making this successful. This group is successful because we're all working in one direction, and that's to bring in some tangible outcomes from this body. I know that we can do it because we've got some great contributors here. We have great minds, and you all have different perspectives that are pertinent to what this safety and climate measure is. And one last thing that I'd like to say is that in these considerations, if you think there's policy, if you think there's something that we can do or even help, and you know that there is maybe governance that is looking at these policies, if we can make a motion to even do something like that, it's not out of our reach. It's something that we could even be part of, and later on, even though we won't be doing the majority of the work, even to have that the birthing of that policy idea, and it's adopted later on, to have the EAC and the climate and safety group to be part of that, well, that's a coup for all of us. It's a coup for our communities, and it's a coup for our state. So keep those thoughts in your mind, and don't be afraid to use your imagination. Think big. Even if we don't get to do it, it's always good to be able to hear and understand what you're thinking, how you're envisioning the growth and development of this. So with that said, I'd like you to hear from Carol, and Carol will give kind of a report back on what she got as far as feedback from those emails that were sent out. Thank you. Carol?
Thank you, Martha. Yeah, so I think what I would actually like to focus on is first framing this conversation a little bit. I think the feedback that folks are sharing during this meeting is helpful to really see where folks have like a passion or an interest for this work. But I do want to be really clear that this subcommittee, you all have a couple options. So if you are really interested in inviting outside presenters or focusing on some of these aspects of safety and climate that you think would be beneficial for your work, and I think the way Cheryl framed it is that, you know, kind of broadening that scope and understanding of what is being done in this field, essentially, that's one thing, right? But keep in mind, if you all find that useful, that's absolutely a possibility, but keep in mind that if these are topic areas that really fall outside the scope of our agencies and what we work on, there may not be a really direct nexus or place for you all to advise our agencies on what we do around those topics, only because there's not really a place for it to go. That's not to prevent you from pursuing those as like things that you are passionate about, but I think you all need to think through how you want to spend your time. And so the other thing that will be useful in that is, again, keeping in mind some of these interest areas that have been identified by subcommittee members today. I think there are some really tangible ways that we could leverage your expertise and plug you into the work that our agencies are doing. And Martha, if I may, I know that you and I spoke in preparation for this call and identified a few opportunities for that. So I can lay those out here, and then I can also send those up as a follow-up via email for people to think about. But most of this, if this subcommittee decides to take on the vision and mission work, that's going to probably take up most of your time for the remainder of this year. So when we think about other work that you all are taking on, we're probably thinking about 2025, which will be here before we know it. So this falls into 3 areas. One, I think this subcommittee could be really a useful place for us to bring our EQI use case focused on safety. So some of you might have been involved in those early conversations around the equity index, what it is, how Caltrans is trying to integrate this and change our policies and our practices. And one of the ways that we want to apply this tool is in the realm of safety. So that's an opportunity. That's something very tangible that we could bring to you all in 2025. The other piece of this, something that's come out of these conversations, it sounds like a lot of you are really interested in the language that is used in our policies. So there might be opportunities to streamline like our program guidelines language to integrate considerations for safety and vulnerable road users, really ensuring that we're incorporating language and planning considerations for the climate crisis, all of that. And there's a couple areas where we could plug that in, so we can send that to the subcommittee as well. And then finally, if any of you were involved previously, another opportunity that could be brought to this subcommittee is the SB1 program applications review, and using the lens of this subcommittee, focused on safety, focused on climate, to plug you all into that process again. And I think a lot of you, we received positive feedback the last time that folks participated in the review of those program applications. And that's something that the subcommittee could also work on. So I'll pause there, and I'm happy to expand on any of these items, but these are definitely like tangible agency items where we could definitely use the advisory support of this subcommittee and really leverage your expertise.
Quickly, can we give 1 minute to each one? So just to kind of say, yes, feel good, don't feel good, want to move on that, or agree or don't agree, it's okay. This is your time. Justin?
Sure. Member Rousey?
Yeah, I'm fine with that. I think it's a lot to kind of focus on what you just discussed. I really want to get our mission statement out for the group as soon as we can, and then get to work on the other things too. So, whatever we need to do to like narrow our focus and get our mission statement done, and then we can do more of a broader look at everything else. That would be great. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Keeping it to 1 minute, guys, because I want to make sure everybody gets to work on the other part of what we're doing today. Go ahead.
To the other members, if you wish to comment, just use the hand raise feature. I don't see any at this time.
Okay, so as I asked, if you were with it, without, with any regard to what was said, that would have been the opportunity to go ahead and say, no, I'm not with it, or yes. And I'm only hearing one person say anything. So I'm going to assume that you're okay with what was discussed.
This is Amber. Let me just chime in. I agree with what's discussed, just so you know that feedback wise.
Thank you, Amber. I appreciate that. Anyone else? And 1 minute is just as a delineation for kind of keeping it short, but go ahead if there's anyone else.
And Martha, if I could add, this is Carolyn. The reason we lay out these opportunities is not to assume that this subcommittee could or would work on all of them, but to paint the picture of some of these areas where we could plug you all in. But realistically, this would be for 2025. And to Michelle's point, it sounds like, if this subcommittee is really set up to work on the mission and the vision, that would be your priority focus for the next couple of months. And then in 2025, we can start moving on some of these other items. But I think it's helpful to plant the seed now so that folks can wrap their head around where their priorities lie and where they think they could be most effective.
And I totally agree. I just want to make sure that folks feel like, even though we are going to be taking on those measures and the vision statement, mission statement is a priority, we will be addressing some of these things that we've been discussing from the beginning. And it's not going to be tabled somewhere where it's never going to come back. Because I think that that's the concern, is making sure that we do have some type of a letter so that we can at least be accountable to some of those things that we've been working so cohesively together to bring forward to the CTC. I want to make sure that we address those things as well. Okay. Well, I want to go ahead and open up for public comment because we haven't done that. So any public comment on any of the matter that's been discussed?
Thank
And
you,
that
Chair.
goes from anyone else that might be on this call, whether it's governance or leadership, staff, anyone. Suggestions?
Thank you, Chair. I'm not seeing any requests to comment at this time.
Okay, so at this time, I'd like to go ahead and ask if we're in agreement to go ahead and have our mission statement as the greater body of our work for the next 2 months until we actually come together and have an agreed consensus on that. Is that something that we could vote on?
I make a motion to put forth that.
Vice Chair or Ms. Kelly, can I jump in?
Yes, you may, please, and thank you.
Before you all vote on moving it here, I would like to solicit the whole EAC body, just because at the meeting I told everyone that we would come back. While our recommendation is to move it to this subcommittee, I want to make sure that everyone has an opportunity to weigh in before that decision is finally made.
I'm with that. I'm in total agreement with that. I think that if I do say anything about being voting, it's more about just kind of how we can go in and move forward and say that, you know, this was discussed with us and we were in agreement with this. However, we're waiting on the rest of the group to make sure that we're inclusive.
Got it. Perfect.
So how do we proceed? Do we want to just go ahead and wait, table it until we go to the meeting, which is fine with me as well? Everyone?
Yeah, I think what we've heard is that we are definitely all up to the task and welcome the opportunity to work on the mission and vision statement if that's what the full committee would like. I don't know. I do believe that staff has a really great understanding of the bandwidth of its committees and staff's constraints, but I guess I'm not really excited about just working on the mission and vision statement. I'd like to see if we could include maybe a single presentation to go along with that, maybe as part of our subcommittee meetings.
I second that. I really agree with that. Anyone else?
I'm fine with but I'm just wondering about our capacity to go ahead and get our mission statements done in a timely manner and also have those other things on the agenda. And you're right, that I think staff will be able to gauge that more. And once we get the final go ahead from staff that it's okay to bring to this committee, then I'm more in a realistic mode with agendas and things like that. So if we get a major focus on doing our sorry, my mind just went blank. But if you know, I'd like to do both, but if it's not possible, then let's just work on our mission statement. Thank you.
Someone has their hand up. I don't know who.
Yes,
Thank you.
we have other members with their hand raised at this time. William Walker.
Hi, I was just gonna say, I don't think it would hurt for the committee to recommend that to the EAC that the committee is interested in taking on the mission and vision. It shows the full committee that you're all dedicated. And I mean, we probably only have one more meeting of this committee between now and December, so it wouldn't be prudent to do more than talk about the mission and the vision of the committee. In my opinion, but again, I don't have a vote here. Those are just my thoughts.
Thank you, Chair Walker. Well, I think that like we discussed, you know, that there were 3 different tiers of looking at it, like dream big, we can do it, and it's totally doable. And in keeping with the discussion that we've already had, I don't think that it'd be too hard to bring a speaker in and like Jara Crowder that would be able to talk about safe streets and give us a little bit of a presentation. I think that's just an extra that we could bring in. And kind of just give the group a bite of what we're looking to, and that's why the letter is so important, to just have just a little idea or even just a little blurb or report back during the bigger meeting of what we're planning to do. And yes, we are going to be working on the mission statement, but I think that I would like to see one small contribution, whether it's maybe 10 minutes with Jara Crowder presenting on safety, so that we do have something in relationship to what our group is representing. So that's my 5 seconds. Anyone else?
Can I echo? I agree with you. I think we don't want to take off more than we can chew and then not produce anything. So I agree with you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, well, with that said, in regards to capacity, because I know it's the holidays, everyone's going to be taken off within, even though we might have another meeting, it's going to be harder because November is Thanksgiving and December is Christmas and some people or their holiday break. So I would like to ask all of you if you would all be okay with me reaching out to Jara Crowder so that we could put together a presentation in regards to our group. And yes, I will take all of your insight and information through Carol, through the help and assistance of staff, to be able to come back and start working on those different inclusions for our vision and our mission statement, but also bringing in a person that can actually do a presentation, 5-10 minutes presentation in regards to safety, so that we are represented at the next meeting for the CTC. Is everyone okay with that? And if not, just say what you feel.
Michelle Rousey here. I'm fine with that.
Amber Noby, also fine with that.
Sounds good to me. This is Cheryl.
Thank you. Anyone else? All right. Any comments from the public? Okay. Well, I really want to thank you for your time. Any last burning comments or suggestions or anything that we can do? Because I know this meeting kind of went wonky, but you're all going to get the notes and you're all going to get a letter from me. I'm going to work and draft on an email so that we can kind of like be able to have a grid or an outline, and you can put in your suggestions and how we're going to proceed. I'd like to have some type of strategic plan, and that would be more based on the outline that you're going to receive and an opportunity to put your five suggestions in there and wherever you'd like to put them in, and we'd be able to come back and have some kind of structured outline for the next coming year, as well as the vision and mission statement. I think that we can work quicker this way because we're not really coming into this space. Then hopefully at the next meeting more just to kind of recap and put a 10 on it, and then let's draft the document so that we can contribute, because I feel that we have a lot of work to do. And this vision and mission statement, although well received, we need to just get that stamped out so that we can get into the real meat and potatoes of what this group is designed for. What do y'all think?
Agreed, Amber.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
All right, thanks, guys. Any other word from staff?
Nothing on my end, Martha. Thank you.
Any burning questions or comments? This is your chance.
Happy Halloween,
I know-
everybody.
All right. I appreciate you guys. I like I said, I'm honored to be in the space with you guys because you guys are strong-minded and you have a good sense of what's going on in this area of safety and climate. And I really am excited to see how we're going to develop some type of outcome for this group. So thank you. Have a safe holiday and see you at our next meeting, Carol.
That sounds good. Thanks, Martha.
All right. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, bye.
Bye, everyone. Great job.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.